Werner says good morning, Magdalene. I am here, right on time. I hope you are well. Player says well enough. How's my dad? Werner says that is what we were about to discuss. How are you feeling, Klaus? Player says his fever broke at dawn this morning. That's good news, right? Klaus says all things, in time. I still feel weak. The dizziness has not receded. My head continues to spin whenever I try to sit or stand up for too long. Occasionally I am struck with sudden and severe headaches. Werner says The damage runs deeper than I first thought. Let me be honest here, with both of you, I am worried. The circumstances are not unfolding to our benefit. Klaus, your health is not mending. Perhaps it is due to your age. We have passed numerous critical days, with no change for the better. Meanwhile, the winter draws closer. And I am, running low on medical supply. With the roads into town likely snowed in, especially the pass, supply shipments will not arrive for months. Option 1 of 3 HOW. Did this happen? Option 2 of 3 Don't you have a stockpile for the harsh times? Option 3 of 3 HAVEU asked Gertrude for help? Werner says I have. Option 1 of 2 TRULY? Things really must be dire. Option 2 of 2 I am surprised, Werner. I didn't think you'd ever take her seriously. Option 1 of 2 TRULY? Things really must be dire. Werner says they are not insignificant. It has been a difficult year. Even with the patrols in Bavaria, many merchants have been struck by bandits. French troops have periodically raided the western holdings of our empire. With the fall of Esztergom and Székesfehérvár to the Ottoman Turks, many trade routes from the east have been cut. The pillage of Nice by Barbarossa's corsairs, and our losses in Italy, have also put us into a predicament in the south. Klaus says as always, we suffer from the wars of others. Option 1 of 2 The empire struggles, but can't you gather supplies around here? Option 2 of 2 What are we to do now? Option 1 of 2 The empire struggles, but can't you gather supplies around here? Werner says I will do what I can, but our options are limited. I wish I already had a copy of Vesalius de Humani Corporis Fabrica. In the meantime, Klaus, Magdalene, pray to God. I must take my leave. I will come by again next week. Klaus says I thank you, Dr. Stahls. Option 1 of 2 I thank you as well. Option 2 of 2 UNTIL then. Option 1 of 2 I thank you as well. Werner says I am only doing what I am meant to do. For this town, stay out of trouble, Magdalene. Klaus says he worries too much. I'll be all right. Player says do you want anything to eat before I leave for the day? I'm working on the next section of the mural today. Klaus says I'm not so hungry right now. I'll be all right. Your letter from the Archdeacon, yes, that's right. What did you learn from him? Option 1 of 3 He seemed sad over what happened during the revolt. Hesitant to tell me anything. Option 2 of 3 He didn't have much to say. He was still upset about the abbey's destruction. Option 3 of 3 Well, I'm pretty sure he still hates everyone in Tassing. Option 1 of 3 He seemed sad over what happened during the revolt. Hesitant to tell me anything. Player says he did say the abbey was founded by a noblewoman after the Romans left. Everything else burned in the fire. Klaus says how unfortunate. I know the brothers kept careful records of the monastery. So much lost in one night. Player says the archdeacon did suggest the poor Clares might have held onto some of the records from the convent. I should be able to learn more about Tassing's Christian history there. Klaus says an excellent place to start. Magdalene. Player says Sister Gertrude doesn't come out of the convent much, but I think it's worth asking her. Maybe Father Thomas knows something, too. I should talk to him. Klaus says if I recall correctly, the miller's wife has a long family history in Tassing. She may know something of the local history that the others have forgotten. Player says else? I thought she moved here when she married. She doesn't have any relatives in town. Klaus says not anymore. Age, illness, and marriage took the rest of her family, but the Caviezel's used to live all up and down this valley. Go talk to her. Option 1 of 2 I will. Thanks. Option 2 of 2 if you say so. Option 1 of 2 I will. Thanks. Dad, player says maybe something remained in the abbey's ruins. I should definitely see what's left. Klaus says Magdalene, you be careful. Those ruins are dangerous. Option 1 of 3 I won't go far into them, Dad. Just to take a look. Option 2 of 3 THEY can't be that dangerous. The ruins have been sitting there for almost 20 years. Option 3 of 3 I am going in there, Dad. You can't stop me. Option 1 of 3 I won't go far into them, Dad. Just to take a look. Klaus says alright. Wear a scarf, too. It's getting cold out now. I can feel it in my old bones. Player says don't worry, Dad. I'll see you tonight, alright? Klaus says alright. Good luck. Clara. Clara says Magdalene, dear. Player says hello, Clara. Thank you again for helping me look after the house. I can't tell you how much more time this gives me to work on the mural. Clara says oh, it's no trouble. You have your hands full as it is. Player says I know Dad really enjoys the company while I'm working, too. Clara says ah, yes. He sleeps most of the day, but he's been in good spirits whenever I drop in on him. You two keep a clean house, too. Well, aside from the workshop, but I can't blame you for that. I've left that to you to take care of. I don't want to damage any of your supplies. Player says thank you, Clara, truly. You've been such a blessing to us both. Clara says oh, you're such a dear, Magdalene. God bless you. Church and Druckers. Hetty says hello, Magdalene. How's the mural coming? I hear you browbeat the council into letting you do it yourself. Option 1 of 3 I don't care about the council. I only want to finish the mural for my dad. Option 2 of 3 it took some work, but I convinced them to let me paint the rot house. Yes. Option 3 of 3 THEY didn't have a chance against me once I'd set my mind to it. Option 2 of 3 it took some work, but I convinced them to let me paint the rot house. Yes. Hetty says haha. Well, it's good to see those stubborn bastards can be moved. God may have made man from dust, but I swear he left some of them with rocks for brains. Did you know Jurg was by to check on my hinges? I've had about enough of their silly projects. That Zimmerman boy seems to have a good head on his shoulders, though. Once you're settled down with him, you'll have a good life ahead of you. Option 1 of 4 I do like. Option 1 of 4 I do like him. I think we could learn to love each other. Option 2 of 4 I think I'd rather marry for love, Hetty. Option 3 of 4 OTZ? I'm not going to marry him. Option 4 of 4 it's hard to think of the future right now with what's happened to my dad. Option 2 of 4 I think I'd rather marry for love, Hetty. Hetty says love comes in time, Magdalene. You'll see. Besides, that OTZ is a good boy. You could do worse. Option 1 of 2 MAYBE. We'll see. Option 2 of 2 I could do better. Option 1 of 2 MAYBE. We'll see. Hetty says but you were always going to forge another path, just like your mother. I have no use for the world beyond Tassing, but I wish you luck in it. Player says thanks, Hetty. I'll see you later. Hetty says until then. Yuda. Eva. Player says hello, Eva. Eva says Magda, darling. OTZ isn't here, I'm afraid. Option 1 of 3 OH, that's alright. I can find him later. Eva says I think he wandered off toward the rot house. Something about the council, but if you ask me, I think he's looking for option 1 of 3 that's sweet of him. He has been dropping by the rot house more often. Eva says he's quite fond of you. I'm surprised he has any time to visit. He's always working on town council business these days, and he's still working at mastering carpentry. I suggested a few years ago that he take up an apprenticeship, but he was determined to remain in Tassing. I think he's more comfortable here, even if that means he'll never be the craftsman Otto was. I help him how I can, but there's only so much I know how to do. Besides, I think he feels like he's taking care of me, instead of the other way around. Funny how time does that. Option 1 of 3. It's good of him to stay. I would worry that you'd be lonely, otherwise. Eva says, oh, even if he had gone, I wouldn't be alone. I have Mom and Jörg, and the rest of the family to help take care of. Besides, they keep me busy. I'll never want for anything, with OTZ and the community here in Tassing. I miss my husband, but I'm proud of OTZ. He's growing into a capable young. I'm excited to see him grow into a husband and father. He'll make a wonderful partner. Option 1 of 2. Whoever he marries will be a lucky woman. Eva says it's about that time to start finding a match. 2. It's wonderful that God blessed Andres with a wife at last, but I'd rather not have OTZ be in his position. Better to marry earlier while he can raise a family. Anyway, I'm sure you have things to do. Always good to see you, Magda. Player says you too, Eva, Christina. Christina says Magda. Player says hello. Christina says, did you see the froggies on Sunday? Option 1 of 2. I did. They were everywhere, weren't they? Option 2 of 2. I think everyone saw the frogs, Christina. They were all over the church. Christina says, I've never seen so many together before. Father Thomas was so angry, but I think it's funny. Mommy says the twins did it, and they're an example of children who don't follow the 10 commandments. Option 1 of 3. Your mom is right. Artemis and Apollo are always getting in trouble. They don't honor their parents. Option 2 of 3. Well, everyone makes mistakes. That's why we confess our sins and do penance. Option 3 of 3. 10 commandments don't say anything about frogs though, do they? Option 1 of 3. Your mom is right. Artemis and Apollo are always getting in trouble. They don't honor their parents. Christina says Father Thomas yelled at them. Mistress Gertnerin did too. Are they gonna get in trouble with God? Option 1 of 2. If they confess, then no. God will forgive them and they won't be in trouble. Option 2 of 2. Only ones they'll get in trouble with is their parents and Father Thomas. I don't think God cares about sneaking frogs into church. Option 1 of 2. If they confess, then no. God will forgive them and they won't be in trouble. Christina says, oh, good. I like them. Even if the adults have to scold them. Mom scolds me sometimes, too, when I do something bad. That's why I try to listen to her and behave and say my prayers. Player says you're a smart girl, Christina. Christina says thanks, Magda. Mommy says so, too. Eva. North, Werner. Werner says hello, Magdalene. Can I help you? Player says hello, Dr. Stalls. I have a book here, and I can't read it very well. I was wondering if you could help me translate it. Werner says if you bring it after Christmas, I might be able to help. I have too much to do right now. I can't spare that much time. Player says oh. I understand. Werner says sorry, Magdalene. Until later? Player says, until then, Werner. Natsiu. Natsiu says ciao, Magdalene. Option 1 of 2. CIAO. Natsiu. Come stay. Option 2 of 2. HELLO. Natsiu. How are you? Option 1 of 2. CIAO. Natsiu. Come stay. Natsiu says Baini, Baini. Good, good. The winter is approaching quickly, no? What is it you say here, perched pinching at your nose? Option 1 of 2. HAHA. Yes, that is the saying. Option 2 of 2. UVE caught onto our customs quickly. Option 1 of 2. HAHA. Yes, that is the saying. Natsiu says Baltas has been explaining many of your funny Bavarian sayings to me. I must admit, they are rather charming, even if the language is a bit rough to my tongue. Player says will you be staying in Tassing long enough to learn more of our funny sayings? Natsiu says I should return to Genoa soon, but Baltas and I still have some business to conduct. It has taken longer than I anticipated to complete. His accounts are, I may be forced to remain a few more weeks. Dio, who knows? Option 1 of 2 it must be difficult for you to be so far from home for so long. Option 2 of 2 I pray that you'll be able to return home before winter sets in. Natsuyu says thank you, Magdalene. I only wish to return to Genoa before any heavy snowfall. Otherwise my journey will take twice as long. Player says I'll let you get back to work, then. Natsuyu says grazie, Magdalene. Until later, Natsuyu. Ciao, Magdalene. Baltasar. Player says hello, Baltas. Do you have a moment? Baltasar says only one, I'm afraid. What can I do for you? Player says I came across a book about the history of Tassing, and I was hoping you could help me read it. Baltasar says oh, no, not today. I am far too busy for that at the moment. Natsuyu and I have our hands full preparing the Christmas ale, you see? Player says of course. Sorry to bother you. Baltasar says not at all. Apologies I couldn't be of more help. Thomas. Thomas says God bless you, Magdalene. Player says and God bless you, Father Thomas. Thomas says of course. What can I help you with? Player says I wanted to ask you about Tassing's saints. I'd like to represent them in. Thomas says I'm thrilled to hear it. The saints will make a wonderful centerpiece for the murals. Option 1 of 3 Why you misunderstand, Father. I may incorporate them, but there are other possibilities. Option 2 of 3 No, not as a centerpiece, simply as part of Tassing's history. Option 3 of 3 Let us make a deal. I listen rapturously as you tell me about the saints, and you don't press me about putting them in the mural. Thomas says very well, but you know there is one saint you're overlooking. Option 1 of 2 Option 2 of 2 Contemplate this. Option 1 of 2 Thomas says why, the Blessed Virgin, of course. Mary. Many people forget that Mary is the greatest saint. And she visited one of the peasants here in Tassing, centuries ago. Option 1 of 2 What, really? Option 2 of 2 The Virgin Mary appeared in Tassing? Why? Option 1 of 2 What, really? Thomas says it's true. Centuries ago, a farmer in the fields behind us had 3 visions of Mary. In the first, she told him that she wanted him to tell the Bishop of Freising that she had appeared. The peasant travelled down to Freising, but the bishop would not see or hear him. Option 1 of 2 That's not a short trip. Option 2 of 2 Keep listening. Thomas says the peasant returned to Tassing and had another vision in the field. The Virgin showed him a pattern, a labyrinth. She told him to draw it on a sheet of birch bark and bring the drawing to the Bishop of Freising. Option 1 of 2 Why didn't she just give him the labyrinth the first time? Option 2 of 2 Keep listening. Option 1 of 2 Why didn't she just give him the labyrinth the first time? Thomas says. The bishop attempted to turn the peasant away, but he could see the drawing of the labyrinth in his hands. It was the same image that the bishop had seen in a dream 3 nights earlier. He met with the peasant, who told him of the 2 apparitions he had seen here in Tassing. The bishop was moved by the peasant's story and he came here, to Tassing. Option 1 of 2 The bishop came here? Option 2 of 2 Keep listening. Option 1 of 2 The bishop came here? Thomas says he did. It's the only time the bishop has ever come to Tassing, and when the bishop came, Mary appeared to both of them. She told the farmer that the town needed to build this church. She told the bishop to support the town. Option 1 of 2 I had no idea that's where all of this came from. Thomas says it's not a story I tell much anymore. I suppose the people here think of Moritz and Sasha, their connection to this place. Mary is such a core part of their prayers that they forget about our particular Mary. But in any case, Our Lady's demands were clear, so the bishop helped fund the creation of this church. The people of Tassing have been using it ever since. Option 1 of 3 You re not from Tassing. How did you hear the story? Option 2 of 3 When was the painting made? Option 3 of 3 I think if I include the saints in the mural, I'll place Our Lady among them. Option 1 of 3 You re not from Tassing. How did you hear the story? Thomas says true, I am not. The people told me when I came, and the former priest told them when they were children, and so on. The priest and the flock have shared the responsibility of passing on the story over the centuries. Player says thank you for the story, Father Thomas. Thomas says you are most welcome, Magdalene. God bless you and your work, Magdalene. Player says God bless you, Father Thomas. Thomas. Thomas says God bless you, Magdalene. Player says, Mary, Mother of Jesus. Her painting has been here as long as I can remember. Ursula says good, Ursula. Ursula says hi, Magda, need something? Player says maybe. I'm looking into the history of Tassing. Option 1 of 2 your grandpa said he told you a lot of things about the old ways. Option 2 of 2 I think some families have remembered more than others. Option 1 of 2 your grandpa said he told you a lot of things about the old ways. Player says can you recall anything? Ursula says yes. I'm fortunate that both my grandfather and Adelia taught me what they knew. Her mind was still so sharp, even up until the end. Option 1 of 2 sharp tongue, 2, as I recall. Option 2 of 2 say nothing. Option 1 of 2 sharp tongue, 2, as I recall. Ursula says she would not suffer fools, true. Player says what do you remember from them? Ursula says Grandpa told me all sorts of charms and things to do to protect against evil, but I imagine you're not interested in that. He said that it was Perchta who protected the forest from witches, not Saint John. God and his saints have dominion over the town and the abbey. But Perchta still watches over all of our wild places. Option 1 of 2 I see. Option 2 of 2 WHAT about Saint Sasha? Ursula says Grandpa believes in the saints just as he believes in Perchta. He said the Perchta's power is shown in certain places and times. There is no conflict for dominion between her and the saints. Player says I see. Ursula says and Adelia knew all these old chants in another language. She told me what they meant, but she couldn't translate them. I suppose they had to do with Perchta, but also God and Saint Moritz. Player says so where did they come from? Ursula says she didn't know, but I think I figured it out after she passed. There were some people coming through town and I heard them speaking their language. It didn't quite sound like the words Adelia used, but close. And they said that Saint Moritz was the patron of their home, too. Player says really? Where were they from? Ursula says Graubünden. They were Swiss. They said there was a holy spring in their town that had been blessed by Saint Moritz. Option 1 of 2 OH. Were they speaking Romansh? Option 2 of 2 ODD. How did Adelia know their language? Option 1 of 2 OH. Were they speaking Romansh? Ursula says oh. I don't know. I only ever heard it that one time. Other than from Adelia, I mean, she said we all used to know the chants, the language, generations ago. I don't know. Maybe we weren't always the people here. Player says what do you mean? Ursula says maybe we came from somewhere else. Our families, I mean. Option 1 of 2 BUT people have been in Tassing since before the Romans came. Option 2 of 2 THAT can't be true. Option 1 of 2 BUT people have been in Tassing since before the Romans came. Ursula says that's what I've heard. People say the mine has been here forever, but, oh, I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of things. Maybe there's no sense to be made of it. I don't know if any of that is useful to you. Option 1 of 2 WELL, I still have to decide what to paint, so it might be. Player says I'm glad Ursula told me all of this, but I can't imagine Father Thomas approves. Option 1 of 2 IT would probably be worse if an inquisitor heard about some of the things she believes. Option 2 of 2 WELL, she's older than me. If she's made it this far, I suppose she'll be fine. Option 1 of 2 IT would probably be worse if an inquisitor heard about some of the things she believes. Player says I should probably warn her not to be too free in who she talks to about the old ways. Option 1 of 2 WELL, I still have to decide what to paint, so it might be. Option 2 of 2 EVE and if it isn't useful, it's interesting. Option 1 of 2 WELL, I still have to decide what to paint, so it might be. Ursula says good. Not everyone appreciates hearing about these things. Option 1 of 2 I know. You should be careful, Ursula. Option 2 of 2 well, I do. Option 1 of 2 I know. You should be careful, Ursula. Ursula says why? Player says not everyone is as open-minded as I am. I just don't want you to get in trouble. Ursula says all right. I appreciate the concern. Player says thank you for your help. Ursula says anytime. I'll see you later. Player says until then. Fabian. Else. Else says Magdalene, dear. What brings you up the hill? Option 1 of 3 I wanted to ask you some questions about your family. For the mural. Option 2 of 3 Dad was telling me your family's been in Tassing for hundreds of years. Option 3 of 3 Dad suggested I ask about your family for the mural. He said your sister used to tell him about your family history. Player says your family name was Caviezel, wasn't it? Else says oh. Not a soul in town has asked me about my family in years. I was beginning to think my neighbors had forgotten us. I am not surprised your father remembers the Caviezels. He was sweet on my sister before he met your mother. I am the last of us left now. Option 1 of 2 Caviezel doesn't sound like a local name. Option 2 of 2 What happened to your family? Option 1 of 2 Caviezel doesn't sound like a local name. Else says why wouldn't it be? I am Bavarian. It is my name. So, it is a Bavarian name. Player says no one else in town has a name like that. And shouldn't you be Caviezelin? Else says I have always been called Caviezel, as were my sisters and mother, and her mother before her. My grandfather told me the Caviezels have lived in this area for hundreds of years, perhaps even 1,000, though it seems impossible to imagine a time so long ago. Option 1 of 3 Ursula thinks the families who arrived after the Romans came from somewhere else. Option 2 of 3 The Caviezels were pagans. Option 3 of 3 Were they Romans? Option 1 of 3 Ursula thinks the families who arrived after the Romans came from somewhere else. Player says not Bavaria, like we think. Else says that's ridiculous. Ursula's family may well not be Bavarian. But mine is. What gave her that idea? Option 1 of 2 It was something Adelia Kemperin told her, that her family once knew old chants in a different tongue. Option 2 of 2 I am not sure. It was confusing. Option 1 of 2 It was something Adelia Kemperin told her, that her family once knew old chants in a different tongue. Player says chants that she later learned from Swiss pilgrims might have been Romansh. Else says well, I would not trust Swiss pilgrims to tell me my heritage, but I am not a bitter old witch who hates the church, the town, and all the people in it. No doubt she would have loved for us to think everything we know about ourselves is wrong. Option 1 of 3 Caviezel does sound very Swiss. Option 2 of 3 I think she might be right. Option 3 of 3 I am just telling you what she told me. Option 1 of 3 Caviezel does sound very Swiss. Else says it's not. I don't mean to be short with you, Magdalene, but when I think of the ancient Caviezels driven from their land, only to find it again through Christ, they feel nearer to me. Do you understand? Option 1 of 2 I think so. It's like when my dad tells me stories about courting my mom. Option 2 of 2 I don't know. It's a strange way of thinking to me. Option 1 of 2 I think so. It's like when my dad tells me stories about courting my mom. Player says I don't remember her face, but when he tells me about her smile, I can almost recall it. Else says yes. It doesn't matter whether you really remember. When I sing my sister's favorite songs to Ulrich, I may not know all the words anymore, but that's all right. Just as I may not know exactly how the Caviezels resettled Tassing. What matters is that I feel close to her, and them, even though they are so far from me now. That is what stories are for, Magda. Now go on. You've got a mural to complete. Option 1 of 2 Thanku, else. You've given me much to consider. Option 2 of 2 Until later, else. Option 1 of 2 Thanku, else. You've given me much to consider. Else says God bless you, Magdalene dear. Else. Hello, Magdalene. Mill. Anna. Anna says God bless you, Magdalene. Player says hello, Anna. Anna says, oh, keeping busy. There's always plenty to do around the house. How is the mural coming? Paul mentioned your progress is quite impressive. Option 1 of 3 I'll have to thank him. That's high praise from a councilman. Option 2 of 3 I am making steady progress. I think I'll be finished just before the new year. Option 3 of 3 I didn't realize the council cared so much, especially since I wasn't their first choice. Option 1 of 3 I'll have to thank him. That's high praise from a councilman. Anna says haha. Truth be told, he enjoys following your progress. I'll have to bring Andreas and Ulrich by sometime to see your progress. We won't get in your way, of course. I'm sure they'd love to learn about the process. Player says you're all more than welcome, but watch your step. There's plaster everywhere. I've just mixed a new batch to keep the wall moist. It's hard to maintain the right texture when it's so cold out. Anna says, oh, I can imagine. I had a similar problem when I helped my mother in the bakery. Rolling dough in winter was such trouble. We had to throw out so many batches that wouldn't rise. Your discipline is admirable, Magdalene. You know, I was a real rascal back in the day. Skipped on working with my parents more times than I can count. Option 1 of 2 but you're so hardworking, Anna. I can't imagine you making trouble. Option 2 of 2 so it wasn't Big Jurg who was the troublemaker? Option 1 of 2 but you're so hardworking, Anna. I can't imagine you making trouble. Anna says it is funny to consider, isn't it? I was a thief and scoundrel. It started with cakes from my mother's table, still hot from the oven. Soon it was silverware, mugs, trinkets I found around town. Ulrich's little hat once even belonged to Andreas Mahler, your father's friend. I stole it from his head. Of course, stealing is against the Lord's commandments. So my father would make me return everything if I hadn't eaten it already and marched me to church to pray. Father Thomas grew accustomed to seeing me more often than Sunday mornings. Option 1 of 2 WHAT changed? Option 2 of 2 I guess you got tired of saying Ave Marias. Option 1 of 2 WHAT changed? Anna says I grew out of the habit over time. I think I started to see why my parents had such a devotion to the Lord. Stealing was my way of acting out, but when the troubles started in town, I realized that my thieving wasn't doing any good. I decided I'd rather honor my father and mother, as God commands. It gives me grace with Andreas and Ulrich on the hard days. And with the rest of the town, too. Option 1 of 3 I think Ulrich would be proud. Option 2 of 3 I think everyone can learn from your example, Anna. Option 3 of 3 that's more charitable than some people in Tassing deserve. Option 1 of 3 I think Ulrich would be proud. Anna says thank you, Magdalene. That means more than you know. Well, I won't keep you any longer. I'm sure you have plenty of mural work to do. Player says I'll see you later, Anna. Anna says God bless you, Magdalene. Mill. Killian says hi, Mags. Sorry, I can't talk for long right now. Option 1 of 2 Magdalene. Option 2 of 2 Killian. What's keeping you so busy? Option 1 of 2 Magdalene. Killian says oh, of course, Magdalene. I didn't mean to be impolite. Option 1 of 2 it's all right. What's keeping you so busy? Option 2 of 2 UVE more courtesy than OTZ and Apollo put together. Option 1 of 2 it's all right. What's keeping you so busy? Killian says you know, it's almost December. Preparing for the festivities is a busy time, and Dad can't do it all alone. He pretends to be strong, but I think some of it is an act. He's growing older, and sadder. Option 1 of 2 I imagine he misses your mom. Option 2 of 2 I'm sorry to hear that. Option 1 of 2 I imagine he misses your mom. Killian says yeah. I miss her too. He doesn't talk about her much anymore. I think he's ashamed. I'm not, though. She was still my mom. Option 1 of 2 you rewrite to not be ashamed. Option 2 of 2 people say she did many bad things. Option 1 of 2 you rewrite to not be ashamed. Killian says thanks. That means a lot. Everyone does bad things sometimes, you know. When the monks were around, they told us all about God's forgiveness. Wojciech talks about it a lot, too, so that's what I try do. Forgive. Option 1 of 2 UVE got a kind heart, Killian. Option 2 of 2 WHAT if the bad things someone does are serious. Option 1 of 2 UVE got a kind heart, Killian. Killian says maybe. I just do what I think is right. How's your mural coming along, anyway? Player says one step at a time. Learning about the history of tassing is a challenge. Killian says at least you can read in other languages. What if there's a history of tassing in one of those books that no one here knows about? Player says hardly. I don't think this town has ever been important enough. Killian says suppose so. Oh, I'm sorry, Magdalene. I really have to get back to work. Player says be well. Killian. Nico says hello, Magdalene. What brings you to my humble inn? Option 1 of 2 I am on my way to Abbey. Option 2 of 2 CAN a place named the Golden Hand can be considered humble? Option 1 of 2 I am on my way to Abbey. Player says I thought it'd be helpful to explore the ruins for the mural. Nico says Kearsaw. It was an impressive sight in its day. A shame you never got to see it. Lots of history to be uncovered there, no doubt. You mind yourself in that place. Could collapse any day now. Option 1 of 3 did Lancelot run from the magician Malduk when Eric and Walmain were in peril? Option 2 of 3 don't worry, Nico. I'll be careful. Option 3 of 3 I can. Option 1 of 3 did Lancelot run from the magician Malduk when Eric and Walmain were in peril? Nico says I can't say that I know the man. I suppose not. Player says no. He didn't run. He was brave in the face of terrible danger. Nico says I hope for your father's sake the dangers you face won't be quite so perilous. Well, you certainly have the spirit for such things. You remind me of Johanna in that. She was headstrong. Fierce, when she needed to be. The mural is coming along fine otherwise? Option 1 of 3 it's getting there. Plenty of work yet to do. Option 2 of 3 the more I learn, the better it gets. Option 3 of 3 it could always be better. Option 1 of 3 it's getting there. Plenty of work yet to do. Nico says can't say I understand much about art. But we all appreciate the work you're doing. What with your dads, well. I won't keep you from your adventure then. Besides, I've the inn to clean. Option 1 of 2 do you have someone to help you? Option 2 of 2 good luck with that. Option 1 of 2 do you have someone to help you? Nico says oh, I don't want to take up your time. Killian will lend a hand. Johanna was good at keeping me straight. She kept this place spotless, sigh. Option 1 of 2 if you don't mind me asking, how did you two meet? Option 2 of 2 I was too young when she passed. I don't remember her at all. Option 1 of 2 if you don't mind me asking, how did you two meet? Nico says oh. Memories. We were so young, in Passau. It's to the east. I first saw Hannah doing laundry beside the river, just south of the Niedernberg Abbey. The way the sun hit her face off the water, she sparkled. Couldn't get her out of my mind. Option 1 of 3 WHAT did you love most about her back then? Option 2 of 3 HOW did you come to talk to her? Option 3 of 3 let him continue. Option 1 of 3 WHAT did you love most about her back then? Nico says It was the way she walked. She struck such a balance between determination and grace. Option 1 of 2 HOW did you come to talk to her? Nico says luck and providence. You see, no one could tell me who she was at first. Then she appeared at my family's warehouse. We were in the salt trade then. Player says let him continue. Nico says she was a wit in conversation, too, with a bold temperament that shone through every so often. We courted, I spoke to her father, a happy day. Player says you miss her a lot? Nico says. I do. We didn't have a plan when we married. That we settled in Tassing was happenstance. When Killian was old enough to travel, we happened to pass through on our way to Zurich. Option 1 of 2 why not stay in Passau? Option 2 of 2 let him continue. Option 1 of 2 why not stay in Passau? Nico says the salt trade was struggling, and there was trouble brewing to the east and south. The Lithuanians had started warring with the Muscovites. There were rumors of peasant uprisings. Option 1 of 2 that wasn't unusual at the time, was it? Option 2 of 2 so you decided to leave? Option 1 of 2 that wasn't unusual at the time, was it? Nico says no, but it felt more threatening at the time. Too close. Besides, we were going to Zurich for trade. We hadn't decided to leave Passau yet. As there was time to spare, we visited Kiersau, and of course the shrine of the Hand of St. Moritz. Her eyes lit up. She said God had blessed us with an opportunity the town had no, and then we proposed the landhouse to the abbot, and he gladly accepted. Option 1 of 2 so the inn was Hannah's idea? Option 2 of 2 let him continue. Option 1 of 2 so the inn was Hannah's idea? Nico says and no. Did I say that? It was a shared dream. Hannah and I were happy. So happy. Player says let him continue. Nico says and then Hannah leaped into the arms of that fucking Miller. I didn't know what to do. We had Killian to look after, and the landhouse. I loved her, so I let it happen. Option 1 of 2 and Otto died? Option 2 of 2 say nothing. Option 1 of 2 and Otto died? Nico says and Andreas fucking Mailer couldn't help but get himself involved. I never did set things straight with her. Maybe I could have saved her. Saved us, if I'd only had the courage. Player says that's not something anyone can know but God. Nico says perhaps I'll ask him, when the time comes. Can't be that far off, now. But I've kept you too long with my talking. You have the abbey to explore, after all. Option 1 of 2 was good talking, Nico. Option 2 of 2 go, then. Option 1 of 2 was good talking, Nico. Option 2 of 2 until later. Option 1 of 2 thank you for sharing Johanna's story with me. Nico says you did me the favor, Magdalene. I won't forget it. Player says until later. Nico says until then. Nico. Magdalene.